everyone, it's Meg, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I have seen quite a few booktubers do this tag over the years, and it seems like a lot of fun to be able to discuss my reading progress and some books that I have loved so far this year, and also my reading plans for the second half of the year. So I thought I would do it today. But I thought it'd be really fun, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Question number 1 is, what is your favourite book that you have read so far this year? There have been a lot of books that I have loved so far. I feel like I've had a fairly good reading year, especially over the past few months. I have probably about 2 on this list, and the first one is actually the first book I read this year, which is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This got a lot of hype in the UK in general when it came out in 2017 or 2018, whenever it came out. So obviously I picked it up and I absolutely adored it. I adore everything about it. It is a story that's very hard-hitting and very unique. I've never seen or read a story like this before, but this definitely captured me, and it is now one of my favourite books of all time. I am planning on rereading it towards the end of the year and doing a reading vlog for it, so you can stay tuned for that at some point towards the end of the year. And I just absolutely adored it. It covers so many important topics, especially loneliness and how that can affect people. And every time I talk about it, I never feel like I do it justice or I can give a full description, because there's just so much to it. And the other book I'd probably say is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because yeah, that was pretty good. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you have read so far. And I've not read any sequels this year from what I can remember. The only one that I can think of is Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the 3rd book in the Raven Cycle series. And I wasn't originally going to carry on with this series because the second book put me in a reading slump, but I picked it up on audiobook and I'm really glad I did. So I am going to do this for my second question, because even though I wasn't a fan of actually physically reading the books, I did enjoy it for listening to the audiobooks. That was definitely the right route for me to go with this series. So that is the only book that I have for this question, and luckily I did actually enjoy it. Question number 3 is, what are some new releases that you have not read yet but you would like to read? There are quite a few for this, so I'm going to try and find them on here. So one of my top ones is With the Fire and High by Elizabeth Azevedo. I really want to read that because it sounds like everything that I want, and it also includes cooking and culinary, which is something that's right up my street. I really want to read Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Is that how you say her name? Hopefully. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and again it seems like a book that is right up my alley and I cannot wait. And there is also Prince Charming and Her Royal Highness. Can't remember who the author is, but they sound amazing as well. Also Girl Aquarium by Jen Campbell. It's one of my most anticipated poetry collections for the year, and I really need to get my hands on it. Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. Obviously I have pre-ordered that for my birthday because it comes out on my birthday. How to Make Friends with the Dark by Kathleen Glasgow. The Paper and Heart Society by Lucy Powery, which I do already own. I Wish You All the Best by Manson Diva, however you say it. I really want to read that. And also Sherwood by Megan Spooner. I have like endless on here on my phone. I'm looking through my Goodreads about all the books that I need to read, and there is a lot. So those are a few that I definitely want to get to this year. Question number 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And I'm not always super up to date on new releases, especially because I'm just not very good at that. But the one that I'm most excited for at the moment is Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. And like I said before, I've already pre-ordered a signed copy because it comes out on my birthday. And I absolutely adored the first graphic novel, so I cannot wait to get the second instalment. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year, and that for me is I Have Lost My Way by Gail Forman. I have been wanting to read this book ever since it came out in 2017, and I got it for Christmas, so I was so excited, and unfortunately I really did not love it as much as I thought I was going to. I felt like this was going to be a book that I could really relate to because it is about 3 characters who have lost their way and their stories kind of intersect, and I guess they would kind of help each other through that. But overall I was just a bit underwhelmed. I wasn't a massive fan of the characters. I did not like the ending. I felt like it was too open, like it wasn't tied up well enough. I felt like the story could have been longer, or there could have been another book afterwards to kind of expand upon the first book, but there isn't. So, and I just wasn't as engaged with it as I would have liked to have been, which is really sad, but there you go, that happens. So I'm really sad that I didn't love this book as much as I hope that I thought I was going to, but you know, it happened. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise of the year so far, and I'm not really sure what to do for this question. I feel like for me it's probably The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because it was a very hyped book. Everybody was raving about it, and then I finally picked it up on audiobook the other month, and I didn't know what to expect because I'm always like to stay away from really hyped books because it just seems to ruin my enjoyment. But I actually really enjoyed Evelyn Hugo. I actually prefer it over Daisy Jones and the Six, and it was just so wonderful. I loved Evelyn, I loved all of the characters in it, I loved the writing, I just loved everything about it. And I'm so glad that I loved it as much as everybody else did, so now I can join the Evelyn Hugo fan club. Question number 7 is your new favourite author or debut author, or an author that is new to you. And for me that definitely has to be Alice Oseman. I was introduced to her books at the beginning of the year after reading Radio Silence and also the first volume of Heartstopper, and I am currently reading her 3rd book, which is I Was Born for This. And I don't read a lot of UK YA, and I really want to, because obviously I want to support UK authors, and obviously there are some differences between US and UK literature, and I love Alice's books so much. They are so witty and funny, and the stories are wonderful. I love the characters. There is so much amazing representation and diversity in her books. And there is just nothing bad to say about them, to be honest with you. I love them all dearly. In future in general, I plan to read all of her books, and I cannot wait for her 4th book, which is called Loveless, I believe, and it comes out next year. I'm so excited for that. So she has definitely become one of my all-time favourite authors, and I will always read every single book that she publishes. Question number 8 is your new fictional crush, and I'm not sure about this one either. I think I might go with Harry from 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Harry was so precious and I adored him. I feel like he's the main one that stood out because from looking at all my books, I can't find anyone that really stands out. Or I could go for Darcy from the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. That was technically a reread, but like obviously, and technically Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables because I've been reading the series, but they have been long-time crushes and very near and dear to my heart for many years, so I don't know whether that counts. But Harry from Evelyn Hugo is probably definitely one. Question number 9, your new favourite character, and again I don't know if there's anyone that really stood out for me. Oh no, I'm lying! I love Eleanor from Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I thought she was absolutely hilarious. I loved her view on life, and she was just so witty, and it's really hard to explain how she was, but I absolutely adored her. And I also loved Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones, and they're kind of all characters with quite big personalities, and I just loved them all. They were all so funny and badass, and well, I guess Eleanor wasn't quite so badass, but you know, I really felt for her throughout the book, and yeah, they're probably my favourite characters that I can think of off the top of my head. Question number 10, a book that made you cry, and I don't cry at books, but from what I can remember, I believe when I was reading this book, it did make me tear up a little bit towards the end. And that is Where the Light Gets In by Lucy Dillon. And this is a very sad book. It is an adult contemporary, which I feel like has a bit of underlying magic in it. It's definitely not magical realism, but you can kind of feel the magic throughout the book. And it is a very sad book. It deals with grief and family and some other topics in this book, and I remember the end is very sad, and the book is quite sad in general, but towards the end it was very sad and something happened and it made me tear up a little bit, and I don't think I've ever really teared up at a book before, so that was a first, and I don't know whether I'm ever going to do that in the future, but like, I'm not a crier. So for a book to kind of make me tear up is something. Question number 11, a book that made you happy, and that definitely has to go to Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I read this for a mental health 24-hour readathon a couple of weeks ago, and I absolutely loved this book with all of my heart. It is just so wonderful. I could not stop smiling whilst I was reading it. All the characters are so precious, and I love everything about it, from the anxiety wrap to the story to the characters. I just feel like I say that about every book I love, but I just loved it, and I was so sad when it was over. It made me so happy, and I haven't had a book made me so happy as this one has in a very long time. So I'm so glad that I did end up picking this up a lot sooner than I was planning on, and for the amount of joy that it brought me, because yeah, it made me feel really good. Question number 12 is your favourite book to film / TV adaptation, and I don't think I've actually watched a book adaptation this year from what I can remember, so I'm going to twist this a bit, and from what I can remember from last year, my favourite book adaptation was Love, Simon, which is the adaptation of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I don't know if I watched any others, but that's the only one that could come to mind, so you know, there you go. Question number 13 is your favourite video that you have made so far this year, and for me that's probably got to be between the video where my horse Finn chooses my TBR or my £20 book haul. And I love the video with Finn where he chooses my TBR because I've been meaning to do that video for months, since like the end of last year, and I finally got around to it and I really enjoyed doing it, and to also include Finn in a video which I've been wanting to do for a while. And I also love doing my £20 book haul because it's a video that I have been working on for over a year, obviously preparing for it. And it was really fun to be able to, it's kind of like doing a scavenger hunt when you go in charity shops and stuff looking for books. And it was really nice to be able to just kind of take my time and find some real treasures and understand the true value of kind of buying books on a budget and charity shops. And now I'm an avid lover of charity shops and buying books and lots of other things when it comes to buying them in charity shops, so those are definitely two of my favourite videos that I've made this year. Question number 14 is the most beautiful book that you have bought / received so far, and I don't feel like I've read that many beautiful books so far this year in terms of writing style. I feel like 2018 was definitely the year when I read some absolutely stunning books, but I'm going to definitely get to some. In terms of covers, one of them definitely has to be Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is the Waterstones exclusive edition, so it has black sprayed edges and it has tickets on the inside papers, and it is also signed, and it has a little bit of gold foiling around the edges, which the normal UK hardback does not have, and it's absolutely beautiful. And also the second and third book of the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber, which is Legendary and Finale, and I'm not going to get them off my shelf because it's a pain to get them off because they are so big and they are stuck between loads of other books, but Finale especially, the cover is just stunning. I'm not going to lie, I kind of bought it just for the cover, but I have read the first book, so I intend to carry through and finish the series, and hopefully the inside of the book will match with the outside. And question number 15 is, what books do you want to read by the end of the year? There are a lot of books that I want to read by the end of the year, so we are going to go through them rather quickly now. Obviously, a lot of the ones that I want to read that are new releases for this year I definitely want to get to, but here are some that I've had on my TBR that I really want to get to. So I have Tin Man by Sarah Winman, which is the only book of hers that I have not read so far. Like I said before in my anticipated releases, I also want to read The Paper and Heart Society by Lucy Powery, because she's also a fellow UK booktuber and a new UK YA author, so obviously I want to read her first book and support her, and it also sounds like a book that is right up my street, so I cannot wait to dive in. And next book that I really want to read is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, because this is another book that I have been wanting to read in again since it first came out, and I really want to read this first before I get to her second book with The Fire on High. This book is told in verse, in poetry, and I am a lover of poetry, and I've never read a book told in verse before, so I really want to get to this, and I hope I'm going to love it as much as everybody else has. And the final book that I really want to get to is one that has been on my shelf for far too long, because even though it's a retelling of a story I love, it's also the sort of book that is kind of out of my comfort zone and not my thing, but I bought it like 3 years ago, so I need to read it. And that is When Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. And obviously this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but it takes place where there is a murder. And even though I love Pride and Prejudice to pieces, like, murder mysteries aren't my thing. Like, they're like they're way out of my comfort zone and something that I am not interested in. But I have heard really good things about this, and it is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, so I really want to read it. And I saved it for Halloween last year, didn't get to it because I'm a chicken, like I'm an actual wuss. So I do have the audiobook, so I'm going to really try and get to this year, so then I can finally tick it off my TBR list, because it has been on it for way too long. So there you have it. That is my mid-year book freakout tag for 2019. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and hear about my reading first 6 months of the year, and also the plans and books that I want to read for the second half of the year. If you like this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more bookish videos from me, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you will be noted every time I post a new video. As always, I will leave the links to my social media along with the links to my Goodreads and my blog in the description down below for you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!